You are.
What if you don't need to live in pain and suffering? What if you could give up your karma and have a life of abundance and joy? What if you could start creating magic and miracles that you never thought were possible? Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is you. Now, here's the host of Creating Abundance with Ease radio show, Dr. Helen Gitlovich.
You are listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Dr. Helen Gitlovich, on Inspired Choices Network. And today's topic is getting out of pain. What if pain is totally not what you think? What if getting out of pain is much easier than you can imagine? Let's join me in the discussion on how you can be getting out of pain using tools of Access Consciousness. It's actually much more simpler than we think. First of all, pain is not real. Pain is something that we decided we need to entertain ourselves. Partly, how many of you actually sense other people's emotions? Pain is not different than emotion. Pain is everywhere, and it's not actually true. Pain is pleasure that we are refusing to receive. I'm going to say it again. Pain is the pleasure we are refusing to receive, according to Gary Douglas, founder of Access Consciousness. What do I mean by that? A lot of people look at me when I say that. It's like, okay, you're totally off the charts, and it hurts. I know it hurts, so it's real. There's different ways the body responds to pain. Actually, it's not even pain. It's intensity. So what happens with body? It gets information. Let's say it gets information from another body, another person that is in pain. And it tells you, oh, this person hurts. So what do? We ignore it. Because at that moment, the pain or intensity is just a slight variation on whatever it is. And when we ignore, the body immediately goes into dialing the intensity up. It's just like radio. Let's say you're listening to me right now, and you cannot hear me. So you bump the volume up. Same with the body. When we are not listening to our bodies, it literally dials the volume in our body, in the nervous system. So now it might be discomfort. Okay, what do we do now? We ignore it. It's pretty much just like a radio. If it's quiet, we ignore the noise. Then the dial goes up. So now we cannot ignore. It hurts. Instead of asking the body, what is that? We immediately go, oh, something's wrong. So what do? We go to the doctor. At first, there might be nothing wrong. They say, we have no idea. Maybe you have fibromyalgia, kind of like a junk diagnosis. Being a doctor, I'll tell you, fibromyalgia is not a diagnosis. Fibromyalgia is pretty much when the doctor has no idea what you've got, and it hurts everywhere, they diagnose it as fibromyalgia. It's a whole bunch of problems that eventually we create actual physical manifestations. So with body, when the dial goes up, we didn't find anything wrong with us. We wonder, what's wrong with our body? It hurts. But we don't ask, what is that? We immediately go into the conclusion. Something is wrong. Oh, if it's a back, probably a disc. The body? Body is like a genie, and we had that conversation last week. Your wish is my command. So any thoughts, feelings, and emotion that we have in our brain goes into our body as a command. It's an order. Okay, body, start creating something that proves that we are right, that something is wrong with our body because we have pain. The body doesn't argue. Body doesn't have any points of view about pain. It doesn't have any points of view about suffering. It does not have any points of view if it dies. So when we start creating physical manifestation of what we decided is wrong with the body, it's pretty much same thing to it as creating something pleasurable. It looks at us and say, oh, you would like to have a problem with a disc in your spine? Okay, we'll start creating something like spinal stenosis or a bulging disc. So a couple of years down the road, you have that. So now you have an excuse for pain, but you're still ignoring it. You're ignoring what's under that pain. You're ignoring what's underlying problem is maybe not even with you. And the dial goes up. So you keep creating. It's that vicious circle where the dog chasing its tail. The commands that we give to our body creates those problems. So let's backtrack. Let's start where it's just an intensity. And a lot of times it's not even ours. Access has an amazing tool. Who does that belongs to. So scan your body right now. If there is any discomfort, pain, itching, burning, anything, and for a second ask, who does that belong to? And just sense, did it light it up? Maybe it became less, or maybe it became worse. In both cases, it is information. If it is less, it's not ours. It might be somebody else's or something else's. Somebody else is usually a person. We might know them, or we might not even know them. Might be a neighbor, might be somebody walking by. I remember walking in a store, and suddenly I had the pain in my knee. I never had problems with my knee. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I already had tools of access, so I asked, who does that belong to? And suddenly I saw a woman limping exactly on the right knee where I had the discomfort. And I'm like, oh, cool. So let's return it back. But somehow it came back. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on? And then I realized that when I thought about the pain, I said, or at least like I thought in my head, oh, I have pain in my right knee. So whenever we do that, we buy it, meaning we take it from another person, put it in our body, and decided it's ours. Somehow it's like, it's not ours, but we decided it's ours. And as I said, body totally listens to every thought, feeling, and emotion we have. So as soon as you said, oh, I have that pain, I put it in. So in that case, you can ask the body to return it back and destroy everything that we bought, that the pain is ours. So just look at the pain that you have right now and allow it to return back, dissipate, and on 1, 2, 3, let's return it back to the person. And by the way, a lot of people have the idea, oh, I don't want to return it because that person will be suffering. Guess what? You're suffering, but you took it, but you didn't remove it from another person because they keep their portion. They like their pain. They have created it. People create pain for one reason or another. They pretty much have a value assigned to that pain. I had a woman in my practice who had problems, and I used some nutritional supplements to help you clear whatever she needed to clear. Within 3 months, she was feeling wonderfully. She was even reporting to me that she was doing the chores in the house, and she didn't need the help of her husband. A few months later, she came back, and suddenly, she was back where she started. She was on certain supplements that were helping her with her problems. Because a lot of times our body needs certain nutrients to correct whatever disbalance we have. And we can talk about that too. She stopped taking that supplement. And I asked her why. She's like, my husband wasn't helping me with my kids. I like when he helps me. And I'm like, ouch. So she was pretty much suffering so her husband would not help her, would help her with the kids. So I guess we are close to taking a break. So when we return, we'll be talking more about bodies and pain and how to clear it. As I said, one of the ways is to allow yourself to return it back to whoever gave it to you. And we'll talk more. So we'll talk more when we come back after the break. Thank you.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlovich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlovich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. Canada 613-800-8736. Or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back. I'm Helen Gitlovich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our topic of the show is pain is not real. So we're continuing with pain not being real. And we kind of like finished off with saying that people have a value of creating pain. But when we take it on, we cannot do anything with that. We cannot change it. We cannot cure them from that because they have a value attached to that. It's pretty much like holding on to a very heavy, big, bulky computer, which we don't have a password to. It's locked. Cannot use it. Cannot drop it because it's expensive. At least to somebody, we know it's expensive to somebody, so we cannot leave it anywhere. So we carry it with us. How can we even live our lives when we carry so many? It's so many of those computers, iPads, phones. No wonder we are uncomfortable. So I invite, and by the way, when we're returning it back, those pains and aches, we're returning it with consciousness attached. So people can realize, because a lot of times they are not realizing that that they have the pain and they can get rid of it. So the idea is when we return to them, now they see the computer, because before they couldn't even see the computer. They couldn't even realize they have a computer, or they can use the computer to their advantage. So now when we're returning back to them, it's like going to the neighbor and saying, oh, here is your computer. You know the password to that, so you can use it. I don't need it. So my invitation to you right now, take that pain and on 3, return it back to whoever gave it to you. And by the way, you do not need to know who you're returning it to. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. How does your body feel right now? I'm not sure, but mine feels better. The other type of pain or intensity could be something else, not somebody, but something else. And that's usually Earth. Our planet has been bombarded by negative emotions, hate, fear, anger, shame, blame. All those emotions are much more toxic than any of the pollution that people do. Because emotional pollution is much more toxic. Also, people killing each other. Earth takes it on. Earth takes on all the pain and suffering of everybody in the world. And a lot of times it asks for help. How does it ask for help? Through our bodies. It asks our help by knocking on our doors, on our body's door, through the intensity of the energy vibration that it requires. So whatever intensity in your body that Earth is requiring, all we need to do is give it to Earth. It's not going to harm Earth. It's not going to create anything that creates problem with Earth. Opposite, it starts healing Earth. A long time ago, we disconnected ourselves from Earth. So my invitation right now to create that connection where we don't have to experience the intensity of Earth, emotions, intensity of Earth asking, and create more ease with that by listening to it. I had severe migraines years ago. Ever since I was 11, I remember communicating with angels, with others as a kid. And as a kid, we're magical. So a lot of times, I did it unconsciously, probably like more consciously than unconsciously, but not cognitively. I was supporting Earth. Now that I know what I know. At 11, I got very upset with angelic world because my grandfather died. So I told them that not only did not they allow me to help him, but I didn't see him before he died, because in Russia, no kids were allowed in the hospital unless they were patients. And if they were patients, nobody allowed to visit them. So it was like a jail. So my grandfather died, and I remember cognitively saying, "You didn't save him, so I'm not going to talk to you." Almost immediately after, I developed severe migraines. Going from doctor to doctor did not help. Doing acupuncture didn't help. By age of 15, Mom finally saw a healer who pretty much opened the channel, and he actually told me that he's opening the channel to divine and allowing the energy to go through me. The headache stopped for about close to 8 or 9 years. So with that, 8 or 9 years later, I closed myself off again. It's pretty much the story of my life. I would open myself up and then close, do a lot of modality and close, and now finally I'm here to create a different reality with my body and invite you to a different reality with your bodies. So when I started Access, I learned a tool, who does it belong to? And immediately I found out that my migraines that by that time were constant were a result of Earth asking for help. So I immediately gave Earth that energy. Headache disappeared. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But then it came back. Because Earth required much more, but I would forget to give it to her. That was very cute of me. Not very bright. So I started communicating with my body and talking to it like a friend. Body, I am listening to Earth, so would you lower the intensity on a dial? So I pretty much dialed back the volume. So the following week, the headache was less. But it was still pretty bad. I'm like, okay, Earth, here it is, on 3, 1, 2, 3. And let's do it together. If you have any discomfort that's related to Earth, it could be a back pain, could be headache, could be anything. Ask if there is anything in the body that Earth is asking for. And on 3, just throw it as energy ball. I know you don't see me, but it's taking that energy into your palms, almost like a bolt of energy. Take that pain and throw it at Earth. You're not going to harm it. It's not an atom bomb, and it's not like a missile. It's just energy that Earth requires. On 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Whew. I definitely feel better. My body feels much more softer and gentler, and a lot of ease has been created with that. And so the story continues, and every time when I would have the migraine, I would ask the body, can we lower even more? So each time it became incrementally less. So right now, a lot of times it's just a little heaviness, and I'm like, oh, does Earth require something? Cool, let's give it to her. And a lot of times, and I just see in the chat, I don't like living in this house, asking the house and Earth questions. And the houses, the land, a lot of things can ask you for that energy. So what if you just take that energy, that heaviness, that house, the intensity that the house requires, and just give it to it right now, just as we speak. On 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's think of America in general. How many people are suffering right now? Oh, the other thing is, very cute. A lot of times we have points of view about returning it, not returning it, what it would create, especially when we're returning the pain. Oh, they will become cognitive, conscious, so they can heal themselves. Sometimes that can stop the energy flow. So would you be willing to let go of all your expectations, all your projections, all your points of view that you have about returning pain, returning intensity back? No matter what it is, good or bad. A lot of times it's about letting go of any attachments to what people choose. Especially when we take that pain from somebody we love, a lot of times that pain is what we decided they need to get rid of. As soon as we decided they need to get rid of it, or they need to heal themselves, they will go into resistance and reactions pretty much instantly. And it's not cognitive, it's energetic. It's just like with kids. When you ask them to do something, guess what they do? They immediately go into, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to accomplish that, blah, 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 all of that. So the less expectation we have about what people choose for themselves, and even for us, whatever we choose, let's let go. And we are close to the break, so we are going on a break right now. And when we return, we'll talk more about getting rid of pain. And that pain is not real. See you soon.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlovich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlovich. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255, Canada 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to helen.g@att.net. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Helen Gitlovich. I'm Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is pain is not real. So we've talked about returning it back. We talked about talking to Earth and communicating. We started our show with talking that pain is the intensity of pleasure that we are unwilling to receive. It's also intensity of us that we are unwilling to receive. What am I talking about? A lot of times people have even orgasm can be painful. So a lot of times it is the pleasure that becomes very intense. It's the receiving that becomes very intense, which we cannot receive. We put up barriers to receiving. And I think we have a question in the chat. I've heard you mention asking for intensity to be dialed back many times. What would it take to remember during the intensity? Notes to ourselves. Okay, yeah, exactly. A lot of times when the pain is so intense, we forget the tools. We forget that pain is not real. That's my invitation to you. It's not real. Another tool I would like to introduce. What's true will be expanded. If it's a lie, when we expand it, it disappears. So I would like you to think of love for somebody that's true. Let's say for your child, not to yourself. A lot of times love to ourselves is like we don't love ourselves truly. But it's usually somebody else that you know. It might be a friend, or it might be your pet, an animal. It can be your horse, it can be your cat, it can be your dog. Just look at the energy of that and expand that. Imagine it as a balloon. And make that balloon bigger and bigger and bigger, expand it to the infinity. Is it still there? My guess, it's still there. Now, take your pain, any pain you have, any discomfort, and expand that. Expand it and see when it disappears. The less real it is, the faster it disappears. And by the way, you can do it with anything, any emotion, any thought that you think is real, and it's not. If it's expanding and it keeps getting bigger, it might be real. If it doesn't expand and disappears, it's not. So with intensity of receiving, one of the clues is that you put up the barrier to receiving, especially to pleasure. A lot of times we've decided that we'll have this much pleasure, and I'm showing probably like a minuscule amount, very minuscule amount of pleasure. But the universe and the body giving us a lot of pleasure. So we have the little funnel that allows a little bit to drizzle in, not even like pour in. And there is a huge waterfall that's going through a tiny funnel. Guess what? That funnel is under a lot of pressure. So with that, what if we remove the funnel? What if we didn't have to funnel the pleasure through our points of view? Because the funnel is our point. Funnel is the points, all of those points of view combined into that little funnel that funnels the pleasure, but only the amount of pleasure that we decided we deserve. How many of you, consciously or unconsciously or anti-consciously, think of yourself not deserving? Maybe we did something in the past. Maybe we not allowed ourselves something or didn't do something, and we already decided that, okay, we cannot have money, we cannot have like obscene amounts of money, we cannot have obscene amounts of pleasure, we cannot have wonderful relationships, or we decided we cannot have healthy body. So all those points of view create a small opening. And that opening keeps getting smaller and smaller with each point of view. So as a kids, we pretty much were open to everything. How much pleasure we were receiving as kids. Close your eyes for a second, unless you're driving. Don't do it when you're driving, please. And allow yourself to go back in time to that little kid when you still allowed yourself to have pleasure. And it can be 5 years old, 3 years old, even 1 year old. Because some of us started closing ourselves off even as 2, 3, 5 years old. So I want you to go back in time to that moment where you still felt, well, maybe not all the pleasure in the world, because by that time you already had some points of view from your parents, but at least it wasn't that tiny, tiny funnel that not allows anything to go through. So just allow yourself to sense and feel how the sun was hitting your skin, or how you were like playing in the mud or in the rain, and how much pleasure it was. And now, go into your body right now. How much pleasure can you receive right now rolling in the mud? Or just standing naked in the sun? There is still some. Don't get me wrong. There is still some. But how much less that is. So when the universe gives you so much pleasure, and a lot of times like that rolling in the mud could be very intense. It might even cause pain because we've decided that it's uncomfortable. So let's allow ourselves to let go, completely let go of all of the points of view you have about what pleasure is, what pain is, and all the expectation of, oh, by the way, there's another thing is, because as we get older, we have a point of view, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us, that as the body ages, people get more aches and pain. So would you get rid of that expectation? Would you let go of all of those points of view you have in that moment, right now? Thank you. What if you didn't have to hold on to aging? What if aging is also another point of view? Just like pain, aging is not real. Aging is all the points of view we have about what aging is and it's not, illnesses, and a lot of it has to do with us seeing other people age and taking on their shit. And I'm not kidding you. You're looking at somebody who is old and sick, and you're like, oh my God, it's so painful probably. And as soon as you wonder how they can stand that pain, guess what? You immediately take it on. Because in order to try to understand somebody, you allowing yourself to take on their pain so you can experience it. The saying, remember the saying, you have to walk in somebody else's shoes so to understand what they're going through. Well, understanding is standing under. And when you start trying to understand, you're pretty much taking it on so you can understand it. And it's not about creating it. We create it by using the points of view we have. We create aging based on our points of view. We create pain based on our points of view. Even, especially if we listen to the doctors. And being a doctor myself, I know, and I apologize for all of those patients that I told them my conclusions about what the disease is and how it will progress. Because it doesn't have to. My invitation to you is about being present with what is, not what could or cannot be. And we're coming slowly to another break. And you are listening to Creating Abundance with Ease with myself, Helen Gitlovich, on Inspired Choices Network. When we return, we'll continue discussing pain is not real. And we will be right back.
Many of us live our lives based on karma, on the past, and all the unfinished business in our lives. What would you choose if you did not have karma, or if you could choose what you desired instead? By tuning into Creating Abundance with Ease radio show with Dr. Helen Gitlovich, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to create the abundance in your life. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to have ease with creating abundance? Listen for Creating Abundance with Ease radio show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Helen Gitlovich on Creating Abundance with Ease. And today our show topic is pain is not real. So before we went on a break, we were discussing that pain is the intensity we cannot receive or pleasure we cannot receive. And my invitation to you is just giving up those points of view. And by the way, our next week's show is To Love or Not to Love with me, Dr. Helen Gitlovich. And if you would like to join me live, I'll be doing some classes. In Austin will be 3-day body class. February, around Valentine's Day, February 14th through 16th. And then immediately after, I'm flying to Rome, Italy, to do another 3-day body class on 21st to 23rd. And following month in March, 16th through 18th, will be another 3-day body class in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and also another body class in May. Also in Chicago, I'll be doing bars class, and if you would like to invite me to your area to do any classes, Access Consciousness or Akashic Records, or have a private consultation, you can contact me through my website, Creating Abundance with Ease, or email me at helen.g@att.net, and you will see that information on Inspired Choices Network website as well. There are links on the show that you can click and get more information, as well as some webinars that I did recently and not so recently on my YouTube channel, Creating Abundance with Ease. So with pain not being real, my invitation to you is start communicating with your body. Start talking to your body and allow it to tell you what's going on. Is it yours? And if it is yours, it might be something that you can change. It might be asking for some nutrients, or it might be something you ate that might not agree with it, or might did something like exercise that your body does not like. It's funny because a lot of times we eat, we exercise, we do stuff, and we never ask our bodies, body, do you like it? Body, would you like to eat it? Body, we override our bodies constantly. And body sometimes respond with certain things that might not be so pleasant. I remember eating something and I knew I'm not supposed to eat it. I always loved cheese, and I found out that cheese might not be something that my body likes. So I overate on cheese one day, and guess what? I was ready to throw up. It wasn't pleasant. That's how body responds to something it doesn't like, especially if we overindulge. So in that moment, I asked my body again, body, I'm so sorry. I did override it. I knew you don't like that. So I will listen to you next time. We'll lower the intensity of the nausea. And it did. So it works on anything, even our own pain. We can lower the intensity. We can lower the dial, the volume. We can lower it to the manageable level. And allowing ourselves to be totally present with our body, allow the body the space to create something different. A lot of times we put our idea of what pain is on the body, so ordering it pretty much to create the disease. And that's how we kill our body and kill ourselves. So my invitation to you is to stop not listening to your body and start listening to it. Start communicating with that. Because as I said, pain is not real. It's an invention. It's something we decided is real. We perceive it as real, and we make it real. When in reality, we can change anything. And we are stopping our show pretty soon. I guess it's left about 5 minutes for us to chat. And by the way, now or in the future, you can always call and ask questions on the show. And you can always allow yourself to be present with what is. A lot of times, actually resisting pain will create even more pain. So one of the ways to get rid of pain is also stop resisting it. Using the tools of Access Consciousness, you might allow yourself to change the pain into something pleasurable. It allows us to create something different with our bodies. And it's about starting something new. My invitation to you, starting a day with just a simple body. What would you like to do today? And body, what would you like to eat today? And who does it belong to? Maybe in the beginning, you might not have an awareness of that, but if you go into that routine of asking who does it belong to, and by the way, there is a free app that can remind you of doing that. It's called simply Who Does It Belong To? Access Consciousness. And it's available on both Android and iPhone system. So it's about being present with what's going on with your body. And yes, our show is coming to the end. And you can come to the next show, which is To Love or Not to Love. We'll talk a little bit about relationships and how screwed up they are, or how to change them into something beautiful. So what if you don't have to suffer through pain and suffering of relationships as well? This is just a little preview about the next show. And on the show after that, I might have a guest from Israel. It's just a little preview. And you can look at all my classes either at website Creating Abundance, www.creatingabundancewithiz, and you're on my Access page, helengitlevich.accessconsciousness.com, and you can join me for the body classes around the world. And the next one will be in Austin, 14th through 16th of February. I hope to see you soon, live or on one of the webinars. And it's love to have you on my show. See you sometime, somewhere in the world. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Creating Abundance with Ease radio show. Dr. Helen Gitlevich will return next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have fun using the tools of the week in your life and start creating magic in your life